So, sisters and brothers, here we are. Here we stinking are. President-elect Donald Trump. Think about that. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Franklin Roosevelt, Donald Trump. Washington was a soldier who fought to literally make America. Lincoln, whose words would inspire Sun Yat-sen in the founding of the Republic of China, was a lawyer who, in another war, saw America abolish slavery. Although Canada, Mexico, England, and France had already abolished slavery. Franklin Roosevelt, who this street is named after, saw the end of the Great Depression and saw America stay away from becoming a communist country. Trump, who was never a soldier, never a lawyer, whose airline failed, whose magazine failed, whose casinos and hotels have declared bankruptcy 6 times, who called Mexicans rapists, who called for banning Muslims, who boasted about raping women, who wants more countries to have nuclear weapons, and who denies climate change, will soon become the most powerful man in the world. Is Taiwan going to name a street after him? Let's hope not. On Tuesday, 11 October, 1 month before the election, the Taipei Times printed a letter I wrote to them. I wrote, quote, "When Michael Jackson died, the writer Chris Hedges said that celebrity culture involves a lot of self-loathing. U.S. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump hates himself so much that he paints his skin and rakes his hair into a wild, styleless frenzy. He wears a crown and paints his face like a clown warrior king of some mythical, insane kingdom. At Jackson's funeral, there was a photo montage showing him with former South African President Nelson Mandela, immediately followed by a photograph of him with Kermit the Frog. Hedges said that celebrity culture equalizes everyone who is famous. U.S. Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Rodham Clinton, a lawyer, former senator, and former U.S. Secretary of State, competes with Trump, a failed businessman, failed realtor, twice failed husband. He hides his multiple documented business failures with bankruptcies with blatant, dishonest claims of wealth. His private life is public. We were first entertained by fiction, then the nonfiction of the real actors who play in the fiction, and now we are entertained by the genre called reality TV. It is not real at all. The surreal and the absurd are the here and now. Perhaps it only makes sense that Trump is a reality TV star and could be the leader of the U.S. He is the star and villain of the show that is both his and ours. Ours because we consume the tweets that consume him. We are the stars of our own shows that play out on our social media posts that loudly demand and cry out, "Look at me." However, it is not enough for Trump to tweet. He must be the biggest star, the President of the United States, no less, in real life. He wants us to say, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Donald Trump. This is our unreal reality. This is part of what Hedges calls the empire of illusion, unquote. How did this happen? How did we get here? On 20 April 1999, 2 days after my 22nd birthday, I was in my final year of university, and 15 people died in a mass shooting in the American city of Columbine, Colorado. My country was also bombing Iraq under then President Bill Clinton. Sorry, I rehearsed. I didn't think I was going to get so emotional. 2 months later, I first came to Taiwan. 有tissue吗? Thank you. Thank you. 2 months later, I first came to Taiwan. I noticed that Taiwan is different from America. I saw almost no homeless people here. In America, there are homeless people everywhere. I have enough money to go to the hospital here. I don't have enough money to go to the hospital in America. There are Is time up yet? There are no mass shootings in Taiwan. There is almost no street crime in Taiwan. And Taiwan is bombing no one. I returned to America after George W. Bush became president and stayed after Barack Obama became president. During that time, America had more mass shootings. We have so many mass shootings now that they don't even make the news anymore. See, that's normal in America. People shooting other people. See, that's normal. It's not right, but it's normal. No, it's not normal, but that's the situation in America. And America has bombed and is still bombing even more countries. And one night, I was robbed at gunpoint. American police have shot and killed unarmed black men. I myself and my friend were detained by the police in the American city of Sacramento, California. Why? Because they said my friend's car had a tinted window, and that's against the law. My friend is black. And during that time, I couldn't find a job. And I wasn't alone. Yes, there are more jobs now than when Obama took office. But most of those jobs are part-time, low pay, and temporary. Unemployment is actually higher than the official rate because those numbers don't count Americans who have given up looking for work. Half of Americans live in poverty. Between 1/4 and 1/5 of children in America live in poverty. And in 2007, many Americans, including my father, lost their homes. The house that I grew up in with 7 other people and only one telephone line. Before there were smartphones, cell phones, or the internet, no longer belongs to my family. Yes, 20 million Americans who had no health care now have some health care under Obamacare, but we still don't have a national health care plan that covers everybody like Canada, Germany, Japan, or Taiwan. It was time for me to return to Taiwan. Some things in Taiwan are the same. I still see almost no homeless people. I still have enough money to go to the hospital. Taiwan is still bombing no one. But some things are different. There are more MRT stations. And for a short time, the tallest building in the world was here. I'm going to be 40 years old in April. That means, remember, I mentioned when I was 22, so that means that in almost 20 years, anybody here younger than that? No? Oh, okay. I don't feel so old anymore. That means that in almost 20 years, Taiwan has built buildings, public transportation, and not bombed anyone. While America, over 3 presidents, 2 of them Democrats, has dropped bombs on more countries, and half of us are as rich or big as Japan, Germany, or America, can build the tallest building in the world, can give their people health care, can have a low rate of homelessness, cannot bomb anyone. Why can't America, a big and the richest and most powerful country in the world, also build tall buildings, give everyone health care, reduce homelessness, and stop dropping bombs on people in the Middle East? Let me try. There was a time in America where we made everything. China makes everything now. There was a time when we actually did. We made clothes, cars, toys, vacuum cleaners. There was a time in America where you could drop out of high school, go work in a factory, and make enough money to buy a home, a car, send your kids to college, and retire. Too much to ask? Those days are long gone. So why did Trump win? Yes, there are Trump voters who are racist. Yes, there are Trump voters who are sexist. But there are also Trump voters who are so angry at the system that they wanted someone who would hurt the system. These Trump voters voted for Trump because they are angry at the system. Basically, before, they could have a job and have enough money for whatever they needed, and now they don't. On 9 October 2016, 1 month before the election, comedian Jimmy Dore posted a video on his YouTube channel where he said, quote, "The American elections are designed to suppress the vote. They're not designed to get people fired up. They don't want people interested. We live in an oligarchy. None of this matters anyway. Your democracy has already been stolen from you. 90% of people in America want some form of gun regulation. We don't get it. 80% of people want a public option. We ain't never getting it. So legislation does not correlate to citizenry anymore. We already live in an oligarchy. Capitalism is failing worldwide. Not one question about Brexit. Not one question what to do when banks fail here. Not one question, nothing. So again, it's the establishment with their head firmly in the sand. There needs to be a revolution in America. All of our institutions are completely corrupt, especially the news media. We've got 6 companies running all the things we hear and see, and this is a perfect example of how they're part of the problem again. Trump, not the problem. He's a symptom of the problem. This is all part of the problem. This is why half the country doesn't vote. Hillary Clinton still not trying to get those people to vote. What she's trying to do is get more right-wingers to vote for her. Still not trying to talk to the people who have tuned out of this election because they know there's no way to vote against more war. There's no way to vote against Goldman Sachs. There's no way to vote against more fracking or the oil industry. Both parties are co-opted by the same people, and we need a party for the American people, unquote. Hillary's campaign didn't work, but it should have. It should have worked, but it didn't. It didn't work because Hillary is a weak candidate. Yes, Trump is deplorable. Yes, some of his supporters, including the Ku Klux Klan, are deplorable. But that wasn't enough. It was not enough to simply say, I'm not him. Hillary didn't give us a reason to vote for her. She only gave us a reason not to vote for Trump. And not once has Hillary claimed any responsibility for her loss. Instead, she blames the media and Bernie Sanders. By Bernie blaming instead of accepting responsibility for her loss, Hillary is showing a lack of leadership. She is also showing a fundamental misunderstanding of how democracy is supposed to work. It is not the job of we, the people, to follow the leader. No. It is the job of the servant leader to serve we, the people, and inspire we, the people, so that we, the people, follow the leader. Power flows from the consent of the governed. We, the people, do not exist to follow leaders. The leaders exist to serve we, the people. And she should have learned that from her experience running against Barack Obama. When she ran against Obama in 2008, then and now, the perception was that she thought it was her turn to be president. That, of course, we the people should vote for her. By contrast, Obama earned our vote. He inspired we the people. He filled rallies with thousands. He raised millions from small donations. His soaring rhetoric of hope and change was substantiated by the specific policies of ending the war in Iraq and reforming healthcare. Yes, we can have peace and prosperity. Do we have peace and prosperity now? Half of us live in poverty and we're still bombing the Middle East. But Obama's campaign was effective. It was so effective that this skinny black kid with a funny name that nobody ever heard of before defeated the supposedly inevitable, rational, logical, mature, adult, realistic, pragmatic choice of Hillary. And she repeated the same mistake this time against a similar opponent. Again, the perception was that Hillary believed it was her turn. Bernie is a 75-year-old Brooklyn Jew with big glasses who somehow simultaneously is bald and has crazy hair. I can't even pull that off. Anyway. And he was filling rallies with thousands of young people in their 20s. How? With soaring rhetoric substantiated with the message of peace and prosperity. Am I out of time? Okay. Are we going to do Q&A or just fill up the whole time? Oh, yikes. Okay, darn. Okay, let me just skip to the end then. Whee. Okay, so I'm out of time. I want to, because 5 minutes includes Q&A. I'm out of time, so I'll end. Earlier I mentioned the writer Chris Hedges, so I'm out of time, so I'll end by paraphrasing him. We must fight climate change, war, nuclear war, and greed, not because we will win. We must fight climate change, war, nuclear war, greed, and Donald Trump, not because we will win, but because they are climate change, war, nuclear war, and Donald Trump. Thank you.